District Board of Education meeting to order. In the unlikely event of an emergency, if we do have to evacuate the room, please note the locations of the exits. At this time, I ask you to silence your cell phones and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silent reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. So I'd like to point out before we begin the meeting that Mrs. Metz has been excused from this evening's meeting. She has fallen ill. Cold and flu season is upon us, as we all know. So we'll start with moving on to 4.0 presentations. 4.1, we're very happy to be at John A. Scholey School this evening, and we have third grade student ambassadors led by Julie St. John. Okay, and board members, if we could go and into the audience so we can see the presentation.
Our third grade ambassadors are chosen by their teachers and serve as leaders and role models for our school. This year, our ambassadors are Carter Pauline, Vanessa Moore, Samari Jordan, Reese Natello, Fiona Mann, Jackson Traylor, Alexa Van Nortwick, Preston Lantola, Claire Jones, and Carlina McLean. As ambassadors, we help with several projects throughout the year.
At breakfast, we help the younger students gather their breakfast items so the breakfast line moves at a steady pace.
At Thanksgiving time, we help make flyers and posters to advertise our annual Stuff and Jive. That benefits the Lancaster Youth Bureau. We then help pack up the boxes of stuffing for pickup.
At the coffee shop, we work alongside our 2-3 self-contained classroom students to help prepare and deliver coffee to the staff at Scholey.
During the school day, we may see students making good choices and helping others here at Scholey. We will then fill out a form so the student's good deed could be acknowledged during morning announcements.
We help advertise and organize our annual dollars for donation to benefit the Punt Foundation. The Punt Foundation helps kids and their families that are affected by pediatric cancer.
For our hat and mitten drive, we make posters to advertise the drive and then box up the items before we deliver them to the Lancaster Youth Bureau for the annual Day of Giving.
Thank you for taking the time to learn more about what we as ambassadors do here at Scholey to help our community.
Good evening. My name is Cindy Berger. I am the president of the PTO here at John A. Sholey. And tonight I am presenting an idea that the PTO committee has worked with some of the teachers and Mrs. Green in hopes that the board would approve us moving forward with this idea. We would like to have the board consider letting us do a K-1 playground. This playground would specifically be for the kindergartners and for the first graders. It's a smaller scaled playground. A lot of times some of the younger and smaller kindergarten and first graders have a tough time on our bigger playground. And what it does is it pulls them off the playground and sitting on a bench, and we don't want that. We want the younger kids to be shoulder to shoulder with their peers, being able to take part in an activity that everybody else gets to do. So this is something that was done recently at the Hillview Elementary, and we really thought it was a great idea. And so we worked with Denzak Recreation out of Syracuse. They're a company that has built our existing playground. They're a family-owned business, and they have a child who's autistic. So they really get the idea of building a playground that's not just for every child, but also for the children that have special needs and disabilities. Also the kids that have sensory issues. Sometimes playgrounds can be very overwhelming for a child with sensory issues. We want to build a playground that they can have fun on too. These are just sample renderings that they put together for us. Nothing is set in stone. We'd be working with the teachers here to build what we feel would be appropriate. This type of a layout would run the school about $35,000 for the equipment and the installation. That's what the PTO wants to donate to the school district, is the $35,000 to cover that. Right now we have about $20,000 that is set aside, earmarked for a project of this nature. We're forecasting that we'd be able to afford the full $35,000 in about 2 school years, based on some new fundraising programs we have and some outreaches that we have to the community. So what we are asking the board is if they would consider allowing us to move forward with this plan, and similarly to what you did at Hillview, we're hoping that you would be willing to cover our site work cost. Things such as drainage, sidewalks, ramps for some of the areas of the playground. We want to make this ADA accessible to all students. So my information is in the proposal that you have received electronically before the meeting. If there's any questions, I have never built a playground before, so chances are I don't know the answer. But I will find out the answer for you. So feel free to contact me if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think this is a wonderful idea for a couple different reasons. First off, it does address needs for students of a very diverse population. It's always funny when the PTO comes to us and says, would you allow us to donate money to the school? It's sort of laughable, right? And we can do our part to support the building, construction of this playground, especially since financially the PTO is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So I'm sure we'll discuss it amongst the board members, but I hats off to the PTO for all the fundraising that they do, and not only thinking about their children, but children of our community for decades to come. So hats off to you, and I think it's a wonderful proposal, and we will consider it and let you know. Thanks very much. So next we have our capital project outlay presentation. So board members, if you want to remain seated, we'll check out the presentation. Mrs. Phillips? A video?
What makes Lancaster Middle School a great building is the fact of the magic that happens in the classroom. The great staff that we have, they care about kids, not just academically, but socially and emotionally as well.
At Hillview Elementary School, we have the most caring, kind, and compassionate young learners. Even at the ages of 5, 6, 7, and 8, they are able to do the most incredible things, not only for our community here in Lancaster, but abroad, globally.
Last night was the bonfire. It's as impactful to me as it was 29 years ago when I started. It's incredible to watch the community come out, the parents, the students. And watching the concert choir sing the alma mater and everybody just stopping and being so proud of this school and this community and what it represents and why people want to raise their kids here.
Because it's really about the day-to-day moments that happen at Court Street that makes it a wonderful place. I see students walking hand in hand and helping each other in the hallways. And I see teachers hard at work doing what they can to make sure that their students are taken care of and getting the best educational environment.
My husband and I made the decision back in 1996 that Lancaster was where we were going to raise a family. I saw Lancaster. I was part of William Street School. As they built William Street School, I saw it grow. We know as a family there is no school district that can meet all of our children's needs, whether it's sports, educational, the academies, just a solid education all around. Again, our children have and continue to attend the Lancaster schools, which we are very proud of. It's second to none.
I believe that this school district is experiencing historic levels of achievement and success. Like you, my wife and I have experienced the same great opportunities this school district has to offer, with regard to athletics, music, extracurricular activities, and these have been afforded to each one of our 4 children. People are choosing to bring their families to Lancaster and its community based on the reputation of its schools. The fact of the matter is, Lancaster is a destination school district and is second to none in Western New York. On Tuesday, December 11th, Lancaster residents will have the opportunity to vote on a $77.1 million capital project. The referendum is focused on preserving the district's assets by prioritizing items that are in need of repair or replacement.
So for 19 years, I've been able to work with and very proud to work with many teachers and the staff at that building that just do great, creative, and innovative things with students each and every day. We have a lot of programming that is new and creative and innovative, and the older structure just doesn't have the electrical and the background feasibility of doing it. So we have to really adapt the program to the building as opposed to adapting the program to the student needs.
In 2015, 16, and 17, our school, Hillview, was greatly impacted by the last capital project. We received a very secure and safe main office, foyer, and entranceway. Things that when you walk into the school, you feel welcome. This is a community that cares about their schools and they want their schools to shine. We want to make sure that our children are always safe, and we want to make sure that they're in a school environment that is not only built well, but has many areas for students to learn and grow.
So we would like to say thank you to the Lancaster community for providing the support in helping upgrade our facilities. Coupled with the comfort of our students within the classroom, our building still has some work to be done around safety and roofs and windows and those types of upgrades that need to happen.
Being the principal of William Street School allows me to connect with the students and their parents and in the community. They see me out in the community and know that I too am Lancaster and that I have their child's best interest, as I would my own children, as we move forward into the next years of how we're going to continue to make Lancaster the best that it can be.
How can we make a $77.1 million improvements with no additional tax impact? The answer is maximizing state building aid, applying $5 million from the district's capital reserve, and a $500,000 contribution from Lancaster Educational and Alumni Foundation, LEAF. Combined, these resources will allow the district to complete this capital project at no additional tax impact to taxpayers.
Just recently met with the architects to finalize the Black Box Theater and the activity space that is going in what was the Java Gym. Very excited about the possibilities it's going to bring to both the music department, the leadership organizations, and many of the other academies, as they'll have a meeting space that is very professional. We're very excited about the ultimate possibilities it's going to have. It's interesting when we talk about the new wall that shows our athletic history. I just toured the class of '68 on their 50th reunion, and I walked them through there, and it just made them smile. And to see these people who take so much pride in being a Lancaster alum, but so proud to see how the history has been preserved amidst the progress.
This is our community. This is our proud school district. Help us ensure our future.
As a proud father of 4 children who went through John A. Sholey, it's always nice to be back here. I'm looking at some teachers there. I think all my kids had them, but I won't admit which ones because some of them take after their mother and some take after their father. The better ones take after their mother. But only kidding. But it's always nice to be here, and we have a presentation. So you all understand, we've had about 4 presentations on this topic. This isn't the first presentation. We've been working on this for probably about 2 years since the last capital project was submitted to State Education Department, and we're going to do a shortened version tonight. But this is a public hearing, and we will answer any questions for anyone that has any. So I just have 2 slides. And that, number 1, just to introduce and tell you that the actual, although you can't see it too well, the actual vote is December 11th, all day on December 11th. And the second one is the actual proposition, but I don't think you can read that. So maybe we should, I'll run back there and grab the lights. But I'm going to pass it over to Steve Shirowski and Jim Hickey from Young and Wright, and they'll do a little presentation here. And then after that, if there's any questions, we'd love to answer them for you.
I'm Jim Hickey, and this is Steve Shirowski with Young and Wright Architectural. And we're going to give you kind of a description of what this project entails. I'm going to start by kind of describing how we built the project. And it all starts with a building condition survey, which I can describe to you in a minute. But we also take that information and we start to review that with the district, with the staff, with the facilities people to understand some of the maintenance problems and issues that they face on a day-to-day basis and some of the principals. And then we start to kind of create a list as to the priorities and the needs that the district is facing and things that we can do to address those and to take care of your facilities. So a building condition survey is something that the New York State requires every 5 years, and we completed one in 2015. Basically what it is we, architects and engineers, will go into each one of the buildings that you own throughout the district, and we evaluate each of the pieces and parts that go into a building. We're looking at the walls, the ceilings, the floors, lights, parking lots, you name it. We're looking at everything, trying to evaluate the condition that they're in, and trying to determine sort of the useful life that they'll have, which is at times difficult, trying to determine exactly when a boiler will no longer be useful or when a roof will start to leak. But those are the things that we try to look for and try to help the district create a plan moving forward. And as you can see here, during our last 2015 review, we discovered probably about over $100 million worth of work that needed to be done throughout your many buildings throughout the district. So we basically took those items and we kind of started to create a list that we reviewed with the district staff. And as you can tell, as we're moving through this process, some additional items are added as things are getting older with age. And so we wanted to focus the main portion of this project on the building condition survey items. So I'm going to pass it over to Steve. He's going to kind of go through some of the buildings and give you a brief overview of some of the scope items within each of those buildings so that you get a better understanding of what this project entails.
Evening, everybody. I'll take over here and go through some of the buildings, but as Dr. Fowley mentioned earlier, We have done this presentation a couple times, so I don't want to bore everybody with too much information, but if there are questions, feel free to go over things at the end. In no particular order other than alphabetical and elementary schools first, a lot of the needs that we're going to highlight and cover here are going to repeat themselves across the different buildings. Common trend that happens when all of your buildings are aged from the 1950s. So at Como Park, major facilities needs, replacing bus loops, sidewalks, parking lots, site drainage, windows, classroom renovations, especially in the 1950s wing of the building. And here are some photos showing some of that. You have windows that have been patched and replaced by some of the maintenance staff over time. The old lots in the back are cracked and don't have the best functional layout for student drop-off. And then interior renovations, old classroom casework, millwork, lighting, things that are 50, 60, 70 years old that just start to fail even with the best of maintenance jobs. Court Street Elementary, a lot of the same pieces, windows, exterior repairs, ceilings and lighting, parking lot renovations, code-required improvements, and safety and security items. Work at the auditorium, work around the perimeter of the building. You'll see some of the windows here, like this one with a window air conditioning unit through it. The glazing is frosted over. There's some masonry damage around the outside, and then the parking lot area that if any of you have driven to that facility, you'll know has several pretty significant potholes in the back. Hillview Elementary, as was talked about in the video, Hillview has received a great deal of work over the last couple of years, but there are still a few outstanding items that are on the list to be addressed. Additional security cameras being one of them, additional security access points, which means card swipe access for teachers and staff to get in and out of the building as they need to, but providing an additional boiler, replacing some old floor tile and some old doors. Part of the building didn't have work that wasn't able to be completed in the previous project. And here at John Sholey, one of the larger renovation components in this proposed project, classroom floors and ceilings in particular in a lot of the classrooms along the western side of the building over on that side. Renovation of toilet rooms, replacing the parking lot in the back of the facility, upgrades to the locker rooms and toilet rooms, and gymnasium upgrades as well, and some spatial reconfiguration, turning some of the locker room spaces here that are underutilized and currently utilized as storage into academic spaces that could be used for student use. So a lot of your toilet facilities here are old. The parking lot in the back, which doesn't have a very good sidewalk access for teachers or parents to get to the building, and then an image of the current locker rooms, which is actually showing it being used as I believe an education space right now, just out of overflow due to the number of students in the building. William Street School, which as many of you know and refer to as the new building, is already actually 20 years old, or will be 20 years old this coming year. And similar to your house or anything, after 20 years, stuff starts to break. So some of the roofs have started to leak. A lot of the carpet is original. Tiles are cracked. Some of the lighting is older. The full fire alarm system needs to be replaced. But the majority of the work here really does focus on the site and the exterior. Significant cracking to sidewalks at the front of the building, as well as damage to the parking lots and the drop-off loops, cracking in vestibules and tile, and the old shingle roofs have leaked in the past. Some of the shingles have blown off in storms, and the skylights do have some leaking issues with them as well. Lancaster Middle School, 1922 original construction building, the original high school in the district. That building, as referenced again in the video, is a very nice historic facility, but doesn't have the infrastructure to support a lot of the latest technological and classroom needs. So this project proposes working on and renovating a good portion of that 22 building, especially on the infrastructure side. Windows, classrooms, heating, electrical systems, all upgrading them to more current standards. We've got classrooms that have been definitely patched over time as floor tiles have popped. Ceilings in the corridors especially, and in second and third floor classrooms are old and falling apart. The 1922 wing has bathrooms on each floor that probably haven't been renovated in 50 years or longer. And then in the 62 wing of the building, a lot of the glazing and the windows in that area are 30 years old or older, and seals are breaking, and you can feel a draft in a lot of the spaces. And then Lancaster High School, as one of the largest facilities in Western New York from a high school perspective, there's still a good deal of outstanding work in terms of the infrastructure that does need to be done, including heating upgrades in the 69 portion of the building, a lot of the original classroom windows, the storefronts that you can see on the outside of the building, replacement of the air handling unit for the field house, tennis courts, stage rigging, pool filtration systems. It's a massive building, so there's a lot of areas that have yet to be touched over the last 10, 15 years. Science rooms with old casework from the 1960s. All the windows are from the 70s and the 80s, and then the tennis court has some significant cracking in it. And then sort of the site work component of the high school, in addition to the tennis courts, is the ability to construct a turf field facility with lighting on it that could be used year-round or close to year-round, weather permitting, by students, by the athletes, by the marching band, by the various programs, and then additional site improvements at the athletic fields. This last project allowed us to help you guys construct a massive amount of parking near the football fields. Some of the work here comprises additional entryways and some aesthetic upgrades to sort of finish that work off on the site. I'll turn it back over to Jim.
Okay, so here what we're showing is the $77.1 million project, sort of broken up over the 8 buildings that Steve described. As you can see, the high school, just due to its size, is a good portion of the project. The middle school, basically focusing our attention on the 1922 section of the building, is a good portion, and then William Street, which hasn't had any renovations and hasn't even been eligible for state aid for the past 20 years, is now eligible, so there's a good portion of that. And then your elementary schools make up about 25% of the remainder. So that's how the project itself breaks down. Moving ahead, as you guys know, we are still moving forward with the 2015 project. We just recently opened bids for the Black Box Theater, which we'll be describing tonight. And so that will be continuing construction throughout the 2019 year and through the summer of 2019. And so part of the reason why we're sort of describing this project now is the duration and the process that goes along with doing a project. It takes about 8 to 12 months for the design team to go through and make sure that we create a good design for the team. And then it takes about 6 to 12 months for the state education department to review those drawings and give us approval. Then we have to go out to bid. So it takes nearly 2 years before actual construction can occur after a vote. So the plan would be for us to continue with the 2015 project, and then by the year 2020, we can then start the new construction based off of this $77.1 million project. So as you can see here, we'd basically be phasing out the project so that we're continuing to do work every summer until we can address all the needs of the district. And this is just a quick summary. Construction is ongoing. We're going to continue with the Black Box Theater, so a lot to see over the next 12 months. And then the proposed 2018 project, which is to address the significant facility needs for the district. Any additional information we have here is the website, and can kind of go through that at the website. Any questions? Thank you.
So thank you to all of our presenters for this evening, and we encourage you to come out and vote on December 11th at the Java Gym from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., correct? So we'll go on with 5.0, correspondence. Did anyone from the board receive any correspondence to speak of? 6.0, approval of minutes. 6.1, could I have a motion to accept the regular session minutes from our November 5th meeting?
So moved.
Second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? So moved. 7.0, items from staff organizations. Anyone from the Lancaster Administrative and Supervisory Association? Okay. Anyone from the Lancaster Central Teachers Association?
It's a little early, but we would like to wish everyone a happy holiday too. And we also like to wish the LCTA Tech Board is approved mailers to all the NICE members in the Lancaster area for the capital project. So we should be hitting the deadlines.
Happy holidays to you as well, Mr. Kirsch. Thank you very much. Anyone from the Lancaster Association of Service Personnel? And anyone from the Lancaster Association of Substitute Teachers? Thank you. 8.0 board reports. Anyone from the board have anything they would like to report upon? Okay, moving on. 9.0 Superintendent's Administrative Report. Dr. Valley.
Yeah, I just have a quick one, and that's to stay on point. December 11th, 7 a.m., 9 p.m. That's a big moment for our school district to continue the momentum that we have in the past projects and to keep on moving forward. So appreciate everyone's support and spreading the word on that vote, and hopefully get as many people out as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Valley. 10.0 old business. Anyone from the board have any old business they would like to discuss? 11.0 new business, 11.1 personnel items. Could I have a motion? 11.1.1. Could I have a motion to accept the personnel changes as they are written?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. 11.1 or 11.2 are the education items. 11.2.1. Could I have a motion to accept the Committee on Special Education's report?
So moved.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So moved. 11.2.2. Could I have a motion to accept the Committee on Preschool Special Education's report?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? So moved. 12.0 business and financial items. 12.1. Could I have a motion to accept the financial items?
So moved.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. 12.2, could I have a motion to accept policy 6121, prevention of sexual harassment of district personnel?
So moved.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? So moved. 12.3 is a second policy reading for 7512 for student physicals. 12.4 is second policy reading for 7522, concussion management. 12.5 is second policy reading for 7260, designation of person in parental relation. 12.6, second policy reading for 7222, diploma or credential options for students with disabilities. 12.7 is second policy reading for 5140, the administration of the budget. 12.8, second policy reading for 6213, registration and professional development. 12.9 is the first policy reading for 5413, procurement uniform grant guidance for federal awards. 12.10 is first policy reading for 7133, educations of students in foster care. Those will be voted upon in a future meeting. 12.11, could I have a motion to accept the proposal for the Delight Hockey Program, which is our girls hockey program, which we share with Depew and Iroquois. Any questions or comments?
I do have one comment. They did play tonight and won 13-1. Big game for them. So,
I mean, I'm again a supporter of this program. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the female athletes, and myself working at Depew, giving an opportunity to young ladies from Depew, Iroquois, and Lancaster to join together to form such a great hockey program is something we're proud to be part of. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. 12.12, could I have a motion to accept the auction results?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? So moved. 12.13, could I have a motion to accept the surplus equipment report?
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? So moved. 12.14 are club creations. Again, these are two new club creations that initially have to be approved by the board so they can get up and running with no cost associated. Girl Up and First Responders, and both descriptions of both clubs offer students nice opportunities. Could I have a motion to accept those club creations?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? So moved. 12.15 is an AIA contract with Algier Construction. Could I have a motion to accept the contract?
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? So moved. 12.16, bid acceptance for our Black Box Theater. That's phase 7B2. Could I have a motion to accept the bid?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So moved. 12.17, could I have a motion to accept a donation from the William Street PTO for 6 water bottle filling stations? Any questions or comments? I have just a comment that reflects the gratitude that we showed to the John A. Sholey PTO. Again, thank you to the William Street PTO members for fundraising and efforts to improve our schools now and into the future. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. 12.18 is, could I have a motion to accept the donation from the Lancaster Educational and Alumni Foundation? And these are for teacher mini grants, offering teachers an opportunity to apply for funding for classroom activities.
Second.
Any questions or other comments? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? So moved. 12.19, could I have a motion to accept a contract with Aspire of Western New York?
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. 12.20, could I have a motion to accept the construction change orders?
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? We have Joe and Joe here this evening to answer any questions. Anyone? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. 12.21 is the food service operating statement for October 2018. Could I have a motion to accept that statement?
So moved.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. 12.22 is a contract with Alden Central School District for our health services. Could I have a motion to accept that contract?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. 12.23, could I have a motion to appoint an election worker?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments there? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. Lastly, 12.24, could I have a motion to accept a tax assessment challenge with the Rite Aid Corporation?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. 13.0, we'll move on to public hearing. We have one speaker signed up for this evening, Catherine Tomasello. Is Mrs. Tomasello here? Okay, we will get in contact with her. 14.0, we're going to move to an executive session. May I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending litigation case number 14-CV-0712, negotiations and the superintendent's mid-year evaluation?
Second.
Okay, we're going to be going into executive session. This effectively ends the public portion of our meeting. Our next meeting will be, not meeting, but our next event will be December 11, 2018, our capital project vote at the high school Java Gym, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then our next regular session meeting will be January 7th, 2019. Regular session beginning at 7 p.m. Thank you for coming, everyone.